Hello, hello, hello. My name is Tiedra. I am the visionary of King's Kid, which has a mission to educate individuals on how God creates, covers, carries, and crowns us in personal and professional development. Our topic today, we're going to be discussing networking virtually. This is essential whether you're in a pandemic or not. This is essential whether you can physically go to a networking event or not. So this is something that supersedes coronavirus, which is why I'm excited to share, because it definitely supersedes it. This is something that I was doing before the coronavirus stopped our nation and stopped our world, and I continue to do it throughout this time during the coronavirus. So I'm excited to share with you things that I've learned and these transferable skills that has helped me not only in my career but also within King's Kid. So my name is Tiedra Jackson, author, speaker, mentor, visionary of King's Kid, and BS from Parkland, MS from Pepperdine, soon to be wife. And we are the parents of our dog Quinn. As you can see, he is very unbothered within this family portrait. And literally, my life mission is to educate others on how to live a crown life. I love to say, Dre drop beats, I drop jewels of knowledge and wisdom. So before I get started, I always like to set the expectation. The goal is for us to learn how to network virtually more effectively, to be receptive, active participation, celebrate yourself because you're here, celebrate yourself because you showed up, and enthusiasm. It's my prayer that you feel my even throughout this screen, whenever you're watching this. And last but not least, grace. We're dealing with technology. We don't know what people are going through. It's a lot on us. We're going through a lot as individuals. So give yourself grace, give others grace, extend that grace olive branch, and continuously live a crown life in Christ. So networking is relationship building. When you think of networking, a lot of people like, I'm not a good networker. I don't like going to networking events. I don't like doing this. But when you go into it with the thought of, I'm going to build relationships, it takes the ease off. It's not as bad, but you go in not with, oh, I got a network. It's a mindset shift. So you're not networking, you're relationship building. You're building relationships. You're getting intellectual property, intellectual capital from others that may be in an industry that you want to be in, that may be higher up than you, or just to have accountability on your journey. But what I've tried to stay away from was saying, oh, I'm just networking. No, I'm building relationships. So try to shift your mind. The goal is to shift your mind from networking to relationship building. Another thing is networking is engagement. It's you engaging in those that you want to engage with. It's you taking those steps to receive the engagement that you want and desire. And nothing's absolutely wrong with that. It's important for you to be engaged in the dialogue, in the conversation. And that's, as you're engaged, they're feeding off of your energy. So the energy that you put out is the energy that you're going to get. There have been times where I've been to networking events and I left like, what was that? But I also didn't go in being my best self. I didn't go in with my crown. I drove there, didn't really want to drive there. So by the time I got there, I had an attitude, left my crown in my car, and I'm just walking in like I'm just here. And in being just here, I got absolutely nothing. The conversations was maybe 3 to 5 minutes on to the next person. Some conversations I felt like I belonged in. Some conversations I felt like I didn't belong in. And that was the difference. It was a difference in my mindset as opposed to when I went in with my crown, with knowing this is what I want to get out about it. This is what I want to learn. And whether I engaged with them in that moment or the conversation continued, it started off with me showing up as my best self, not showing up like I'm just here. Okay. So when we think of networking, I have networked across all 4 of these platforms. There are other platforms like Meetup that you can network on. I haven't really gotten into meetups just yet, but I have heard great things about it, but I just haven't used it. But these are the 4 that I have used: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So LinkedIn is the one that I use a lot. And I use LinkedIn a lot because I was a recruiter. Recently, I was a recruiter. And then on top of being a recruiter, we had to use LinkedIn. So with that, I was able to network and build up my LinkedIn network to be really vast, which is really, really good. I enjoy that. Instagram, I still use Instagram. I use LinkedIn too, but I still use Instagram mainly for King's Kid, not as personal as my personal Instagram, but I mainly use it for my business. Facebook, use Facebook too, have a lot of college, high school friends there and family. And then Twitter, I'm okay with Twitter, but depending on the industry, Twitter will be like your primary one. I know a lot of educators, they really use Twitter. My college president, he uses Twitter a lot. I'm always getting notifications from him. So a lot of these will vary based off your industry. Like I see a lot of my college president on Facebook and Instagram more than I see him on LinkedIn. But as I stated, I used LinkedIn a lot because I was a recruiter. So it depends on the industry that you're in. Sometimes that may play a role in to what social media post you would use. So when we think of LinkedIn, LinkedIn is one of the most formal ones. The most important thing about LinkedIn is finding your tribe. When you find your tribe, when you find your people, it's amazing. It did take me a minute, and I've talked to a few other people where it said it took them a minute to find their tribes, but your tribe is like your virtual coworkers. You may not like your current coworkers, and that's okay. But when you log on to LinkedIn and you see your virtual coworker, like people, it's like, I wish I could work with them. They're so cool. That's what it is. So it's a little more formal. And that's okay, but like I said, it's just important to find your tribe. So after you find your tribe, then the LinkedIn algorithm will show you a lot of posts of your tribe, and you can control that. So on my LinkedIn, I have recruiters because I used to be a recruiter. I have career coaches because I think career coaches are important and they're giving out solid advice, and they're not exactly committed to a company. So they're telling you ways to get around applicant tracking system, ways to maximize your LinkedIn and even your resume, and ways to build relationships, which is networking. I also follow professionals that are active in the diversity, inclusion, and equity space, because that's a space where I'm doing more research on, and I just want to be knowledgeable about how people are showing up as their authentic self and advocating for individuals like myself. And my next wave of people that I have within my network is individuals that are in the learning and development space, because that's a space that I really desire to be in. And after that, I have people that are in marketing media, only because of King's Kid, and there's some transferable skills and overlapping skills there. So those are the mainly type of people that are within my LinkedIn network. Other than that, I have college friends, probably people from high school, but I know for sure, like, people from college, they're still on my LinkedIn. I'm not sure about people from high school. I don't know if we've connected. So the important thing with your LinkedIn is to check all the activity. You can comment on their latest posts. People may or may not respond. So I've been in situations to where I want to connect with somebody on LinkedIn. Maybe they're the VP of HR, maybe they're CEO, maybe they just have a role that I'm interested in learning about. People may respond, but then again, people may not respond. And what I've learned the most is just not take it personal, because people are not obligated to respond to you. Now, is that how I would do it? Probably not. So when people reach out to me on LinkedIn. I really try my best to respond back within a certain time frame. And if I don't respond back within that certain time frame, I will tell them my apologies. Like, I'm really sorry for not responding. That's just me. So everybody's different, and just understand that don't underestimate the power of a recommendation. I have recommended people on LinkedIn and people have recommended me. Recommendations is literally at the bottom of your LinkedIn screen. And a few weeks ago, I did a actual LinkedIn webinar, but don't underestimate the power of those recommendations, because that's people putting their name behind you to say that you are legit. So you want to ask people, if it's somebody you worked with, a coworker, someone on your team, your previous manager, don't be afraid to ask for a recommendation, because that's people putting their weight behind you. And don't be afraid to ask to be introduced. So a lot of times I see somebody that you're connected to at a company and I need to connect to them. I'll reach out to you and say, hey, do you mind introducing me? Some people will say yes, some people will say no, but at least you've done your part in asking. For LinkedIn, you can publish articles, which helps solidify your position. So if I'm a trainer, I could write an article about a certain thing to solidify my title and my position, as to say, like, I'm qualified, I know about this. So that will help build credibility, which is important. And then do not forget, like, salary insights and embedded media you could put. So if you're in videography and you want to show, like, hey, I'm certified in this, then you can embed media previews of the work that you've previously done to credential yourself. And another thing on LinkedIn, you can do research salary insights to make sure that you're getting paid what you deserve. Make sure you get all of your coins plus the tax, okay? Instagram. With Instagram, it's not as formal. You can engage by building a rapport within the comments, reposting stories. As you build rapport in the comments, a lot of times those conversations go offline. Another way to build engagement is attending others' live videos. You check out the personal's business page as well as that personal page. So I have a personal page on Instagram, Tiedra Z Jackson, but I also have King's Kid. Now, the content will be completely different. Everything I post to King's Kid is related to King's Kid. Everything I post for myself is probably related to my life outside of King's Kid. And I don't post on there often. So a lot of times I'm posting a lot more on my blog page to build up that engagement and content over there. Look for freebies, email subscriptions, and learn and grow with the individual. One thing that I love is a lot of times there are freebies that are offered. It could be a free masterclass. It could be a free anything. Like, this is self-improvement month, which is in September, and I'm offering a free calendar where I'm interviewing people for different aspects of our life. So we're touching on the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. So that's something that you can look into. And someone may be willing to accept you on their business page, but they may not be willing to accept you on their personal page. So on your personal page, you can have your settings set up to where it's a blocked page. So if that person don't know you personally, you don't really have access. So if you see that's where it's like, they accepted me on their business page, but they didn't accept me on my personal page, that's probably why, because as a individual, they have that right. Facebook is not as formal, but it's kind of the same function as Instagram. You build rapport by, in the comment section, reposting, attending lives, and things of that nature. You can also do that with groups. Same thing. Check out their business page as well as their personal page. Sometimes the same thing. The personal page may not be as available to you as the business page. Look for freebies. Another thing that Facebook has is you can join groups. I'm probably in like 50 groups, but you can join those groups to network with individuals and build relationships. A lot of the relationships that I have built, it has been because I've engaged in the comments, found they had a group, got in the group, build relationships within the group. I've been asked to speak at certain conferences just by doing that. And just know that they may be willing to accept you on their business page, but not their personal page. Twitter is not as formal, but you can engage by comments and retweeting. And I love that. Some people may have a personal page and some may have a business page. I don't really use them as much. And then you can check their activity last tweets, comment, and like. And then they all have a DM version, a direct message version, where you can message that person privately or individually. So by me using all of these 4 platforms, I have been able to accept speaking engagements, build relationships, long-lasting relationships, and gain mentors for my business and my personal and my professional life. So you never know how social media will play a role into your overall life. I will say be careful, just with what you put out there. For me as a recruiter, sometimes I'll go and check out someone's Instagram or Facebook or even Twitter. I will. They didn't make a decision as to not whether I hired them, but I will. So if it's something that you don't want anyone to see, don't put it on there. Simple. Just don't. And I'm a big proponent of everything doesn't belong on social media. So there are a lot of parts of me that are just not on social media, which is perfectly fine. And that's my decision. That's my prerogative. But I think it's important to use discernment because everybody don't need to know everything. And I think there's a special covering. You deserve a special covering that you need over you. And in order for that special covering to be effective, you don't want to be just consistently and constantly spilling the beans. So lessons I learned from virtually networking is that people are not obligated to respond to you. I used to take it really personal, especially in grad school. And a part of the reason why I took it personal is because I used LinkedIn a lot when I was looking just to try to find a job in human resources, and I was paying for LinkedIn. When you pay for LinkedIn, you have a feature that allows you to message people. It's like LinkedIn credits, so you can message other people where you probably wouldn't have had access to them before. And that's where I would get really upset, and low-key I'll have a sense of entitlement about that because I'm paying as a college student with no money like that. I'm paying using my LinkedIn credits to message you, and you don't even respond. And I took that really personal, but as I've grown in my career, I've just learned not to take it personal. I will say I'm a little iffy on like the paying version of LinkedIn, only because the 2 times I did pay for it, I didn't really yield good fruit as opposed to the times where I didn't pay for it. People were responding to me left and right. People at all levels were responding. So I don't know if it was the type of people. I haven't figured that part out yet, but I do know, like, I don't think, at least in the near future, I'll be paying for LinkedIn to access people because my return of just reaching out to them has been really, really good, as opposed to me paying a subscription and maybe they answer, maybe not. You never know. Oh, number 2 is find the commonality, which is why you research their pages first. So I always try to research people pages first and then find the commonality. So the branding individuals that's doing my bridal pictures, he's in Atlanta, and I found a commonality between him and I. He's a HBCU grad. He's also in a fraternity, and I'm in a sorority. So when I hit him up, I led with how I admired his work, but I finished with, it's also good to meet a fellow HBCU Greek brother type thing. And he was like, oh, what's up? And he's taking my pictures, and I'm really excited about that. So always try to find the commonality, whether that's in your industry, whether that's you used to work at, you know something about this company. Me and some ladies, we found the commonality and was like, oh my God, I love your hair. So we'll start out with hair, but find the commonality is better, and it's refreshing to find the commonality first. When everything was going on with George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, we would just check in on each other and say, how you doing? how you doing? Because I knew that this lady was married. I knew she had sons and things like that. So when you find a commonality, it's easy to build up on that as opposed to just going in potentially being fake. You never know who's watching you. One of my, I would say he's like a sponsor to me. He's like a mentor to me. I haven't figured out how to describe him, but he's someone that has really brought me to the table. Like I told him I wanted to sit at the table, and he brought me to the table. When I mentioned that I was a part of my organization's reduction in force, he was the first person that hit me up and was like, "Hey, so what's next?" And then after that, he was like, "Hey, I'm presenting here. Let's, just come and have fun with me." So he was watching me and I didn't even know it. But you never know who's watching you and how them watching you can end up being a great relationship, a beneficial relationship for both of you all. Number 4 is engagement ultimately leads to relationship building, which can lead to limitless opportunities, which is basically what I just explained. So understanding that as you engage with people, as you vibe with people, as you're energizing with people, they're feeding off that, and you never know where that can lead. Be cognizant of the images you post. As I stated earlier, as a recruiter, I would search your Instagram if I could find it, or your Facebook if it was available. But also some people will research your pages before declining or accepting your request. There have been certain people that have requested to be my friend on Facebook, and I search their pages before I accept them. And if the content that they're producing on their page is not in alignment, I would not accept them, because that's not what I'm trying to portray. Most people are scared because they haven't invested in the time to cultivate the relationship. Remember, networking is not a one time hit it and quit it, bing by bang. It's nurturing and cultivating. You have to check in, you have to follow up, you have to follow through. On my calendar, I have with certain people, okay, I need to check in on this time. If somebody crosses my mind but I can't talk to them at that time, I schedule a message out to them on a day where I can talk to them. So I may schedule a message out a week from now and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And although it's scheduled, when they respond to me, remember, I know I'm free that day. When they respond to me, I'm able to give them my all, and I'm not just saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about you," and then 3 hours later, I'm trying to have a conversation with them, but I got 30 other things going on. So take the time to invest in the relationship, take the time to cultivate the relationship, and take the time to keep the relationship going. It's a lot going on in this world. We're carrying a lot. It's just a lot. And people want to know that, hey, you thinking about me. I crossed your mind. As I stated, networking is not a one-time event. If it is a one-time event, that's just what it is, a one-time event. But it's an ongoing activity with endless possibilities. So you're constantly nurturing and networking. You're constantly researching. You're constantly jiving with one another. You're constantly not interviewing, but really seeing how you align. But it's ongoing. It's evolving. It's nonstop. If it becomes a one-time event, then it's just one time. Does anyone have any questions for me? Thank you so much for attending this webinar. Once again, I'm super excited to help you live a crown life in Christ, whether it's in your home, in your professional life, or in regards to all things personal development. Stay crowned kings and queens. I'll see you soon. Bye.